Welcome to the Lion's Den. Today's program is part 2 on screening children as young as 6 months. My name is Dick Laing, and to my immediate right is Greg Prentice. We're both co-producers of today's program. And before we get started, we'd like to let those people that have just turned on their TVs to see what's going on, we'd like to tell you who the Lions are. We have over 1,350,000 members in 208 countries and territories. There are over 46,000 clubs, and we speak 11 official languages. Berkshire County Lions are located in North Adams, Cheshire, Dalton, Pittsfield, Hinsdale, Lee, Great Barrington, and Stockbridge. And to my right, Greg, who's our guest, and what are we talking about in part 2?
Our guest today, thank you, Dick, is Lion Alan Daninihirsch of the Connecticut Multiple District 23, past council chairman, and really for the past 6 years has been working on what we call pediatric vision screening to find vision problems in children so that we can do a better job of preventing blindness or other issues. Mm-hmm. Brian, can you tell us about briefly review what we did in part 1, which we don't know when these two parts of this are going to be aired, but the first part 1 was about why we need to do this, and now we're doing the how-to part of it. Could you review why we need to do this briefly?
We recognized back about 6 years ago that there is a tremendous need to screen children in the preschool years. They're not getting the appropriate screening that they need, and many of them are entering the school system with vision problems. So we have launched a program that allows us to go into nursery schools, Head Start programs, preschools of all kinds, and screen the children using a screening method that's provided with this piece of equipment. And we are able to screen children for all kinds of diseases, eye abnormalities, and report to their parents that they, in cases where the abnormalities show up, that they are in need of professional care and that the child should be taken to an eye doctor, an optometrist, or ophthalmologist. We kicked off this program with a pilot about 4 years ago, and since then we have screened across the state of Connecticut a little over 5,000 children, and we are running a referral rate of about 10 or 11% right now.
That's amazing.
That's unbelievable.
10% aren't caught.
Yes. And the chances are that these children, these 10 or 11%, the 500, 600 children, would enter the school systems with the parents having no knowledge that these children have an eye abnormality. And, you know, the old thing, I can't see the blackboard, so how am I supposed to? That's essentially what it is. Yeah. We are able to catch a whole lot of problems early on, and that's what we want to do.
Yeah, that's amazing. The percentage, it's unreal. Yeah. I can more and more, you can reduce more and more of the problems I can see.
And there are some areas in the state, some towns where we're running as high as 24, 25% referral rates.
That's inexcusable because it's well within, not with this instrument, it's well within our technical capabilities to find these things out and make sure
that's right.
with proper follow-up that this child, every child, is not anchored down by the inability to learn properly. Mm-hmm.
And with many of these abnormalities, if you catch them before the age of 5 or 6, they are easily correctable. You let it go beyond that point, and now you're into either an uncorrectable situation or perhaps surgery or intervention medically that is much more serious and much more costly.
Mm-hmm. Wow. You know, well, okay, getting into part 2 here, what children eye problems will this procedure detect?
Well, there's a list that is put out by the manufacturers of the equipment. Strabismus is the first one, which is a misalignment of the eyes. Mm-hmm. Amblyopia, which is lazy eye. Anisocoria, which are pupil size anomalies, difference in sizes between pupils. And then there's a whole list of refractive errors as well. Astigmatism, which is irregularly shaped corneas and lenses, myopia, nearsightedness, hyperopia, farsightedness, and anisometropia, differences between the two eyes. All of these things can be progressive. They get worse, and they definitely affect the child's ability to see, and therefore the child's ability to learn. Because we know that in the early years, about 80% of everything a child learns, he learns through his eyes. And if the eyes aren't working right,
The brain doesn't learn.
The brain doesn't care.
The brain doesn't learn correctly.
Right. Exactly. So this particular one shot, it's gonna produce information on all of these units?
It does.
Okay.
It produces information, and essentially it is a screening thing, not a diagnostic tool, but it produces information and it tells the parent in big letters, this child needs to be referred to an eye specialist. And there's a whole list of things on the printed page that the machine prints out that will tell the eye specialist what it is, why this child has been brought to him. He can then go ahead and do the professional diagnostics that they do. That's what we're trying to do, is to tip the parents off that there may be a problem.
And this is earlier intervention than finding these problems out in first grade at the school level, where there's.
That's right. By the time the child reaches 5 or 6 years old, the problem is more severe.
And the correction is more
And the
costly.
correction is more costly, more difficult, and more intrusive.
Well, now that we've covered the why of it, let's get into the how of it. Would you explain us your procedure?
Okay. Obviously, the first thing you have to do is have a piece of equipment.
Yeah.
This is one that's manufactured by Pediavision. There are a number of other companies that are manufacturing similar equipment. We did a lot of research with an ophthalmologist from Yale at our side, looking at the various pieces of equipment that were on the market and
Yale's
making a decision.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and, you guys have the Massachusetts Eye.
Yes, we do.
Oh, that's my trail
Mass Eye
into that.
Research,
Yeah.
Yale, and
That's right.
Harvard, the rest of them.
We're not going to reinvent the wheel.
No. I mean, there are 3 or 4 very good pieces of equipment out there. This one suited our methods best, and by the way, this is like a 3rd generation of what we originally adopted as being the piece of equipment we wanted. The next thing you would do is to establish the method by which you as a district or as a state are going to administer the program. Is it going to be run through the iMobile? Is it going to be run by the individual districts? In our case, we have the Connecticut Lions Eye Research Foundation, and under that, a program that was created back a number of years ago by Lions Clubs International called LEAP, L-E-H-P, Lions Eye Health Program. And our Lions Eye Health Program is a subsidiary of our foundation, and they're the ones that own, if you will, the equipment and administer the program statewide. We then have the 3 LEAP chairmen in each of our 3 districts, and they work together to coordinate the program. Right now we have 6 of these machines. 2 of them are located in each district, and it's up to the individual LEAP chairman to coordinate how these things move around and where they go. The next thing is to talk to the clubs, the individual clubs, about what this program is all about. And that may mean a demonstration or in some way get the information out to the individual clubs. We then put the onus on the individual clubs to go to their school systems, their nursery schools, their Head Start programs, and try to sell the program, if you will. Get your foot in the door. Say, we can come to you and do this free of charge, obviously. We have the ability to do it. Here's a track record of what has been done already along these lines. And we the Lions of this particular town, Pittsfield, if you will, or Cheshire, want to go to your schools, your Head Start program, your nursery schools, and screen these children. If they get a positive response, then the club would come back to the administrators at the state level and say, okay, Pittsfield is ready to go. We have 3 schools and 2 nursery schools there. When is the equipment available? When can we set up a screening program? Once that's established, you go back to the school system and say, these are the dates we have available, and we work together to get those dates finalized. Then what you need to do is to get somebody from the administrative end of the thing that has the equipment, that knows how to work the equipment, and a group of Lions screeners from the individual clubs. You want to get them down there. Get them together at the school on the morning of the first screening. Training takes about 5 minutes. Literally.
Yeah, you're right.
You guys have used the machine.
I was trained in less than that.
They could even train us, you know.
Yes, that's true.
It's that easy.
It's amazing.
So you get there a half hour early, you set up, you train, you screen one another so everybody knows how the machine works, and then away you go. And we found that once you get to that stage, you can screen about 25 children in an hour, which is a whole nursery school class or better. We've gone into schools that have multiple classes and spent the day there and screened 200 children in a day.
Wow.
And then the process that follows there is that each child, each parent gets the copy of the printout that comes out of the printer and a recommendation letter from us that either the child has met the criteria, we haven't found anything in the screening, or the child did not meet the criteria and we recommend that you take this child to an eye care professional. We try not to diagnose, that's not what we're there for, but it's a tip off to the parents that there's something wrong and that the child should receive a full eye exam. And right now what we're doing is leaving that to the school administrator, the school nurse, the teacher, whatever, to do the follow-up and make sure that the child gets the care that he needs. Eventually, I think that we will begin to get more and more involved in the follow-up, but right now we're just trying to get the program literally off the ground with the screenings themselves.
Got another question for you. Selecting a screening team, what are your requirements?
Well, obviously, guys that are not as ugly as the 3 of us would be nice because we're dealing with,
Oh, man.
3 or 4-year-olds.
I knew I liked you.
No, you need people who are relatively at ease working with little children. That's a big help, obviously. Although we always make sure that the teacher or the aide or whatever is present at the screenings. And what we like to do is to bring all the children into the screening location, have them sit around on the floor and watch. And one by one the kids come up. And that way, you always got a brave little boy at first says, I want to go first. And once they see that it's totally, you don't even touch the child, it's all done from 3 feet away.
The little boy wants to make sure he's first, not the little girl.
Whatever. And so you want people who just have a little bit of a facility to work with children, and also at least can punch numbers and letters into a keyboard.
That's the most difficult thing to do.
And really that's the criteria.
So there's really no people skills at all involved here as far as...
It's not so much... You need the people skills to get your foot in the door with the administrator. You need child skills to do the actual screening.
So you send in your best ambassador from the club.
That's right. That's right.
Do you perform criminal background checks?
Well, we have that in the protocol. We have run across 1 or 2 school systems that want that. In the case where your initial interview with the school system, they say we must have a background check, then we know how to do it, and the information to do it is in the protocol manual. Generally speaking, we do not. We go on the basis that these are all Lions, and that makes them at least reasonably responsible people.
Exactly.
But we will offer that to a school system that needs to have it.
Sure. And remembering that the school system's personnel has to have criminal background checks.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Or bring the
usually
parent in.
they are satisfied with the idea that at least one of their staff is going to be present in the room at all times.
exactly.
And we're never in a room one-on-one with an individual child.
Shouldn't the club insist on that?
On the background checks?
Yeah.
Ye-
That the
It's-
school is.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to the club, really, and a lot of it depends upon the relationship that the club has with the school system. I think you're going to find that may be necessary in the larger cities and not necessarily in the small towns.
Right.
Yeah, we agree.
Small towns, I
Yeah,
don't
we
think
agree
you-
with that's what we.
Because
find.
everybody knows everybody in the small towns, and most Lions, obviously, as you mentioned, are responsible people. Yep.
So how would you go about now that we got the volunteers, because it's the Lions, and you got them fired up about this, and they really should be, because this is something that's relatively easy to do.
Yeah.
Then how do you rely on the club to find the schools in their town,
Yes.
and how do you get them to go to the schools, actually go there and talk to the people?
Well, many times what we find is that there's somebody in the club who has some relationship to the principal, one of the teachers, et cetera, et cetera. We had an interesting situation just a few weeks ago where one of our members is a nurse practitioner who teaches nursing at a college. One of her students has a child in a nursery school. And they just happened to be talking about this program, and the nurse student said to her teacher, "Could you arrange for these people to come to my nursery school and screen my child and the other 22 kids that are there?"
Yeah.
And it happened.
It happens, yeah.
So there's all kinds of connections, and my advice is use every connection you have.
Right.
When you go make your presentation to a club, then you would tell them that.
Absolutely.
Go ask.
Absolutely. I mean, there's got to be somebody in every one of these clubs that has some connection with the people who are running the nursery schools, and many times what we find is that there's word of mouth among these schools, and they will come. When you do it in one nursery school, especially the private nursery schools, all the other private nursery schools find out about it, and you get phone calls saying, "Oh, could you come to me? Could you come to us?" Now, in New Britain, which is my club, obviously we have a very large school system, and I did the initial work with the head of school nursing, and she was able to give me timing for every school that has preschool classes in it, as well as all the parochial schools, because in that town, the nursing system for the parochial schools comes from the public school nurse.
Public school nurse. That's the same thing we have up in Adams,
So
too.
essentially,
Yeah,
use your connections.
Hoosick Valley's up there, yeah. Yeah, just to let you know, what I had was the information that I got down at RV, and then I asked around who was in charge of the preschools, and I found out who was in charge, so I went down, dropped it off, and left it with the secretary, and about a week later, I got a phone call.
Now, if you
come on down and talk, and I said, well, this is where it started, and this is within the last week or so.
Now,
So
eventually, what we would like to do in Connecticut is to get to a point where we can go to the State Department of Education, State Health Department, and say, listen, we have this equipment, we have this cadre of almost 6,000 Lions in the state of Connecticut. All of them can do screenings in every town. We have already done 10,000 children.
Right.
We would like for you to take us on as the official screeners.
We're here.
Right.
Yeah.
We're ready
exactly.
to go.
Now,
go ahead.
in the state of Louisiana, the program that they have built is that the Louisiana Lions are the official screeners for the state of Louisiana, and they actually have an office, a building, out of which the program is run for the whole state. They have clerical staff. The clerical staff not only does the programming and setting up, but also does the follow-up. See, that's where it comes in with the individual
okay.
parents.
Yeah, right.
And it is funded, the clerical staff's salaries and the building upkeep are paid for by a grant from the state. And as a result of that grant, the Lions are then offered the opportunity, if you will, to do all of the screening.
That's awesome.
So there's a long way to go with the program, even for us in Connecticut, building it. But it can be done.
When you raise an issue, it's always good to have the solution in
Well,
your hip pocket.
or at least have a have a direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
We
in this
look,
case,
we look
got
forward to following Connecticut.
it. Yeah, we'll follow you. We'll follow you
Yeah,
gladly.
you get all the bugs worked out, and we'll be glad to jump right on board.
I mean, we gained knowledge from other states. Louisiana mainly. Iowa's doing it. Oregon's doing it. Many states.
Well, following along on that line, when I wrote this script up, I gave Dick this question: What's tri-state?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we mentioned that in the protocol for this reason. There is an organization, Prevent Blindness. Now, it used to be Prevent Blindness Connecticut. That now became Prevent Blindness Tri-State, which I think covers Connecticut,
New York, Jersey,
New York, and New Jersey. I don't know whether you have Prevent Blindness Massachusetts.
I don't think so.
Not
But
called
I don't think so.
tri-state,
Also,
certainly.
I would lump into this discussion things like the VNA, the Visiting Nurses Association. These people do this. They will go to schools and offer screening, offer to do the screenings for the school systems. They get paid for it, and in most cases, they are not using this sophisticated equipment. Now, my caution in the protocol is that we're not out to put these people out of business. That's not
right.
the point.
That's right.
Yeah.
I have even talked to them about linking up. If they have some place that they have to do and they can't do it, they don't have the staff, or they can't get there in time, or whatever, call us and we'll go and do it. Our idea here is to make sure that every single child can be screened somehow or other. If a school system is happy with doing it with Prevent Blindness or VNA or some other source, whether they're paying for it or not paying for it, that's not the point.
Right.
We do it for free because of who we are.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So that's why that's in there, and that's why we just mention it.
So it looks like we still got a lot of work to do as far as getting it organized within Berkshire County.
For us,
Greg.
but
yeah,
that's
for
okay.
us, but yeah.
That's okay.
But
Yeah.
the thing I want you to understand is that once you get it organized on the administrative end, the rest of it is like a snowball rolling downhill. The clubs just latch onto this thing like it's great, and you've
I don't
always
think that's
got
going to be a problem for us
No,
because
I
we
don't
have an
think so either.
infrastructure called the iMobile.
well.
Yeah.
We've been doing scheduling and scheduling.
Yeah.
and
I would
teaching people
I
how to
would
do things.
suggest to you this. I mean, at least this is my vision of the iMobile. When a screening happens, the iMobile is parked out at the curb.
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
You got to get out of that mode, I suggest.
Well, for this program, I
Yes.
think you
Absolutely.
can do
Yeah.
can do both. You can really do both.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. But
Yeah,
what you
you're right.
want,
We can parallel.
What you want is a club doing the screenings in its town, and the only thing that's there is the machine, not us.
Yeah. That would be
That's
the ultimate.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate.
That's the
exactly.
ultimate.
Yes,
And
exactly.
we've even gotten to a point, and at first we tried to control this because we were concerned about it. We've gotten to the point where some of the larger clubs have said, we want to do this in our town, and we want to be the official screeners in our town, and we're going to buy one of these machines for ourselves. And they did. Now, this concerned us because we're losing the administrative umbrella. But what we've worked out with them is that all of the data that they glean, how many they screen, how many referrals, where they've screened, comes back to us at
Nice.
the foundation.
That's
So
nice.
We got 2 minutes
Even at
left.
once.
I'd like to go into one question. Do you have manuals that we can?
We've got them.
The history,
We've
you've got all
pretty
those.
much
of
got
what you've-
them.
Yeah, so
yes,
we can
I
develop
think you
our own
pretty much
setup.
got
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
I will see that you get a copy of the protocol, and there's also a book that the Iowa Lions have published that I'll show you. That's a little
Okay.
storybook that they send out to the
Awesome.
school before they come in.
Okay, that's great.
yeah.
That is great.
Can you come back next year and tell us how you're doing?
Well, what I would like to do is come back before next year and help you guys get this program off the ground.
Great. We'll take
That
you up
I
on
would-
that offer.
That I'd like to do because I'd like to have you up there for that pilot program. Meanwhile, I'll get a hold of the Lions clubs in Western Mass and see what we can do
Right.
to get it and set it up. Okay.
You let me know when, and we'll do
We've
it.
got a
Normally-
minute left.
Yeah. Normally, what we do is let people know what's going on. One thing that I want to bring out, May 17th, if you're watching this, we have a golf tournament, which is one of our major fundraisers in Adams at Forest Park Country Club. It's shotgun start at 11. It's $60, and it includes dinner.
The
So you
automobile will be at the Senior Center in Northampton, May 22nd. We'll be in the Memorial Day Parade on whatever day that is, I think 26th in Agawam. Agawam is also celebrating their 70th anniversary. Boy, they've been around a long time. Northampton is holding their second annual Running of the Ponies on the 13th, and 16 Acres is running a craft fair. Wrap it up, Dick. We're out of time.
Well, we got about 25 seconds left. Yes. Alan, thank you very much for coming in, doing 2 programs today. It's awesome.
Pleasure.
And I want to thank the people that are watching here. And don't forget, each day, smile a little, laugh a little, and use your own power of positive thinking. Don't forget, we care, we serve, we accomplish. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Whoa.